Life is actually fantastic. Pain is actually fantastic. When bad things happen, I say fantastic. People, what do you mean fantastic? I say fantastic. I've now been given a godlike appearance to overcome this obstacle and appear godlike and strike like the lightning and shine like the brilliant sun. I thought you wanted to win. Most of you are like babies in a baby carriage, which is waiting for me to come and put the pacifier inside of your mouth and get the milk with the bib, just in case you start to throw up on yourself, throwing up your... Some of you are like babies, which await me, a king. I have to step out of my palace to come and hold you in my arm and get the baby pacifier and start to clean and wipe you up just in case you keep regurgitating on yourself. Most of you do not understand the depths of the message of which I'm saying. There is a certain art of vigilance which will enable you to succeed, which will enable you to shine like the sun, which will enable you to become like lightning and strike when you please. If you can understand how to use the ability which you have been given, this godlike power, which most people do not truly understand. If you understand that power, it will lead you to eminence. And another quote of his is, eminence breed power. But it seems like nobody wants to achieve eminence. Nobody even wants to open the veil of power. Seems like everybody wants to stay stagnant. I want you to understand that there's a certain level of pizzazz which is needed for you to flame like the phoenix. The phoenix flame will allow you to burst through the mediocrity. There's a certain amount of blood and flame which is required to fly so high where you cannot be touched by the earthling garbage. Do you understand? Most people are in a mental prison. They're in a bondage of habits and a bondage of thought. And this thought is a darkness, and this thought is a sheet of darkness which cover the light of which they can move through reality. If you can discover the passions of the skillful, if you can discover the passions of the skillful, if you can discover the passions of becoming a talent of superiority, I could say, or I can dumb it down and say, you can develop the habit of becoming better, then you can win. But it seems like nobody wants to because it takes impetus. It takes sheer persistence. It takes a step up the stairway to sheer vigilance. But nobody truly wants to do it. Nobody truly wants to win. They don't want to fight anymore. Nobody wants to be brave anymore. Why? Why? You're at the height of your capabilities. You are designed in a certain way that if you can understand your origin, you can win. Do anybody truly want to understand? There's an excess of power. There's a lake of power of which you can walk through. All you have to do is grab your mat and walk to the lake of power. It seems like nobody can do that. You still don't want to walk. Why don't you want to walk? All you have to do. It's all you have to do. I just taught you the steps to dazzle yourself like the phoenix and flame through the atmosphere. And some of you still won't walk. Some of you still won't fly. Mind is the attachment. Mind is the wings, which will enable you to fly. But it seems like nobody wants to attach the wings anymore. It seems like everybody wants to drown in a pool of cum. Why? Why do you choose to drown in your own pool of cum when you could win? You need to fly. You need to fly higher above the mediocrity. There is a certain treasure that exists if you can understand. This treasure will bring about opulence and beauty. Everybody knows that. I keep saying it over and over, but nobody truly wants to understand. Nobody truly wants to go within. They rather stay scrupulous and filipendulous. They rather stay and loathe in their own murky juices. So I want you to truly think inside of your mind the splendor of which is possible if you can just understand the dazzle it takes to fly so high above the ponds. And maybe finally you can look down above the rivers and see the oceans and see all of the magnitudinous waves of the possibilities of which is possible if you could just truly understand. But do you really want to? Do you really want it? Or do you just say you want it, but you don't really want it? Do you really want it? If you wanted it, you will become braver than ever before. You will become godlike. But it seems like nobody wants to take the stairway of vigilance up to the path of power, up to the palace and enter in. Because at the forefront of the palace, you can become Superman. You can become superhuman. But it seems like nobody wants to. You must fight. You must program the certain instinct inside of you which will enable you to overflow with pure strength and brute force. You need to burst open the doors which are keeping you trapped and locked in. Most people are trapped in a certain web of mediocrity. They're like a spider that builds its web that cannot get out. They're like an ant with no ant hill, no ant farm. These men are purposeless, and these men deserve the fruits of their labor. Everybody in life deserves what they choose to deserve. If you want to elevate, if you want greatness, if you want to become a man of valor, a man of gallantry, of vigilance, you need to learn this art that I'm imploring upon you. But nobody wants to do it. You don't want to become a champion, because if you did, you will understand the depths of this message. But most of you have already clicked off. Most of the losers have already clicked off the peasants. They will never become greater than ever before. They will never become a king. They can't even hear this message. They're like dogs and cats who wander around, just eat their food and stay in their cage. They're like a man who lacks dazzle and pizzazz, and they live in a sphere of darkness. They never see the light, because if they seen the light, they will actually start to convert themselves and transform, and they will actually start to triumph over all of the garbage of which life purport. That's why I talked about the sovereignty of mind. If you can understand the sovereignty of mind and take control of your mind, you can win, but it seems like nobody wants to. As I said, they just love to fuddle around in their puddles of cum, because you can win. There is a palace which awaits you, and inside this palace is pure opulence and beauty. And there exists a river that at the end of the river, there's straight treasure if you would just walk. I've laid out the pathway. I'm telling you to walk up the stairs. There is the stairs of will. The stairs of will allow you to become greater than ever before. You can increase your reputation, but it seems like you don't want to. Do you really want it? If you wanted it, you would be inside Preme Operations, the free Telegram, t.me/Preme Operations. And the link is in the description. If you truly want it, I'll see you there. But it seems like some of you don't. Some of you don't want to discover what you can truly do in this life, the potentialities that exist within, that are lying dormant and latent inside of you, that are godlike, and yet everybody wants to choose to ignore it. What are we living in? We're living in a reality of slavery. And an undisciplined mind, as I said at the beginning, is the key components, the centerpiece of slavery. If your mind is not in your control, then you are a slave to impulses, to fear, anxiety, all of it, to other people. Because if you can't control yourself, that means somebody else is. You have to think who that person is. Who is controlling you? Who is keeping you locked in the shackles which you choose to ignore? Who is keeping you away from the treasure chest which waits above the stairway of vigilance? Vigilance, pure vigilance, and brute force is required to break the atmosphere of mediocrity. You need a certain amount of terminal velocity, but it seems like some of you lack it. Why? You need to question yourself. Why do you choose to spin the wheel of weakness when you could spin the wheel of fortune? And perhaps engineer success, but it seems like most of you don't. It's crazy, isn't it? There's an overflow which comes if you can ignore the darkness of life. There's an overflow of light which shines like the brilliant sun. And you can shine like that if you choose to do so. As a man, life is a game. And your mind is the controller. If you can control your mind, the game becomes easier than ever before. And you will discover the court of peace, which exists inside of the throne of your mind. But it seems like you cannot walk in, because if you did, you would have walked in already. Do you truly want to win? Do you really want it? If you really wanted it, you will want it, but you don't want it enough to really want it and do something about it. You just want it enough just to talk about it. If you truly wanted it, you will win. You will scan the environment. You will start to seek the flame, the inner flame of fire, which will enable you to purify all thought. But it seems like nobody wants to. Seems like nobody wants to. You need to start to seek to become greater than ever before. You need a certain amount of eminence. You need to find your occupation. You need to become great at it. You need to stick to that. You need to train daily. You need to face discomfort daily. You need to construct pain daily and fight against it. You need to start to train your body and train your mind, become competent than ever before, because there exists abundance out there, but it seems like you don't really want it. There's an abundance of mind, abundance of peace, abundance of status, of women. Whatever you can think of aside of your mind, there is an abundance for it. But it seems like you're just the ant to a human. It seems like you were the ants in childhood, which all of the humans took a bucket of water, a bucket of pure impetus, and poured it all over the ant pile. And it seems like you drowned out with the ants. Why? You have to question yourself. Why?